Just like they drew it up, right, Bill? How about that, Steeler Nation? John Phillips here at the North Park Lounge, Richland Hilltop Event Center. It is Steel City Sunday postgame show. We got a nice crowd here at NPL Richland, right off Route 8 in Gibsonia. Please stop on by, and we are going to get into this big victory for the Steelers today. See, I told you in the pregame, when I say X, it's always Y. I think I'm just going to continue to predict that the Steelers are going to lose every game. Maybe that'll help them continue to hold on to the division lead and make the playoffs, and who knows, maybe win a playoff game or two. But we'll talk about that as we progress in this season. Steelers win. Final score in this one, 34-12. And if you look at the numbers as they are broken down, and for some reason my computer doesn't want to work, we got Jerry DePaula backstage, right? Do we have John Fedko backstage? We're going to bring them in here in just 2 seconds. 34-12 is the final score. We'll bring these two distinguished gentlemen on here in just a second. The big story, obviously, Aaron Rodgers hurt. Jaylen Warren hurt. Rodgers didn't start the second half. Warren went out early in the third quarter with some sort of leg injury. The defense, 2 defensive touchdowns, both coming in the second half. The difference in this one, we'll talk about Jalen Ramsey's selfish behavior in this game as well. Didn't cost them, but these are some of the topics that we will get into. Hopefully we can catch Mike Tomlin's post-game press conference. And without further ado, let's bring on our 2 guests, Jerry DePaula, longtime writer for the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. And there he is. Look at that smile. Hasn't aged a day in 25 years. Mr. John Fedko, how are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome, man. We got an old-fashioned quarterback controversy brewing. It's going to be all kinds of fun this week.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you can get the quarterbacks involved.
It'll be Mason Rudolph next week.
Awesome.
No about it.
Well, I mean, hey, it's obviously a huge story that Aaron Rodgers didn't even come out of the locker room. And I'm sideways, by the way.
Oh, he was hurt. John, you're always sideways.
Yeah.
You got
to get Billy.
I don't know what we're working on it. Okay, maybe we take him out for a minute or something. Hang on, John. I love it.
Jerry, you got too much headroom, Jerry. So you got to fix that. At least it's better than Zeiss in the closet. We got to hire a producer for this show, Bill. There's a lot that's got to be cleaned up. Starting with my shot right here.
We're working on that right now. Hey, Mason Rudolph did very well, Jerry DePaula. Obviously, we're not sure if it's a wrist injury. Jerry Dulac reporting it was an elbow. He fell somehow late in the second quarter in that last 2-minute drive where it might have been his elbow. He was, obviously we'll figure this out on the post game over the next few days or so. I don't know. I don't know what it is there. Oh, wow. I don't know. So let's just try to figure it out without him being on. There it is. There we go.
We'll go with that. I'm a whiz when it comes to this technology.
I like it. Okay. So we'll get into the quarterback controversy in a moment.
Now
hold on. What quarterback controversy, please?
No, I know there is not.
No, there is a quarterback controversy. We'll talk about it. There is a quarterback.
All right, let's get into it with Mr. Fedko. All right, let's start with John. All right, John, tell us why there's a quarterback controversy.
Well, first of all,
here.
I love Mason Rudolph. I love him. And one of the reasons I love him is he's a devout Christian and he talks about it. And it's one of the reasons I don't root for Aaron Rodgers because of the nonsense involved with what he's done. And I know his family's mad at him. Whatever. I love talking about this stuff. I have 2 pro athletes. I tell them every time you do a post game, talk about your faith, talk about God. It drives the media crazy. I love it. So I love Mason Rudolph. I'm going to start with that. I think he's a better leader than Aaron Rodgers. That's always been in that back of everybody's mind. Is Rodgers have a leadership problem? I think he does. We were starting to see that surface, especially last week when he had a horrific game against San Diego. There is a quarterback controversy. I thought Mason Rudolph coming off the bench played great. He's big. He's strong. He's tough. He's a better leader. And I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, I guess, is hurt. I don't know, Jerry. Have we got some kind of information on what exact? I know he's got.
Well, John, if he's legitimately hurt, obviously Mason Rudolph will play next week.
Right.
But if Rodgers isn't hurt and he recovers, he's going to be the starting quarterback against the Bears. I don't think there's any question about that.
There's no doubt. But I'm a big Mason Rudolph fan. I think he's good. I think he played good today. I told you why I love Mason Rudolph. It's the intangible. He's a devout Christian. He talks about it, and I'm not afraid to say that. And I know that drives the media crazy. I hope he starts his news conference thanking God. I love having that back in the saddle now because Rodgers never talks about God, and his family's mad about it. Here's the thing that's bigger, though, Jerry. The bigger story is Warren. That's a big injury. They cannot afford to lose him for the Baltimore.
Did a nice job today in Warren's absence.
Absolutely, but and the offensive line did a pretty good job. But Warren's been a star. He was averaging 6 yards a carry before he went out. He had 10 carries, 62 yards. Yeah. He was dragging guys. They were pitching to him, a la the old Green Bay Packers and Dwayne Thomas of the Dallas Cowboys. I love those pitch backs and get him some yak. He's great at that. It's a play they're starting to love, and he's good at it. That's a huge, huge loss. You can't. Well, it's a game of the NFL's a game of attrition. We're seeing it in the defensive backfield now. But I think the bigger injury of the two, I do, is Jaylen Warren. They can afford to lose Aaron Rodgers because of Rudolph. And listen, the way their offense is designed, Jerry, and you saw it today, even with the win was a huge factor. The short dump-off passes, the yaks, and then you go to Washington and he drags guys 18 yards. Rudolph can do that just as good as Rodgers. It's all about just dumping the ball off. Don't make any mistakes. Run the ball, which they were doing well today. That's the way you're going to beat Baltimore. That's the way you're going to beat Chicago. So I think it is not a huge loss if Rodgers goes down. Not just because I love Mason Rudolph and his Christian background in the way he promotes it. He's just. I don't think that matters in this scheme. Jaylen Warren matters. He's really good.
I agree.
He's really good.
You know, for what it's worth, when it comes to Gainwell, 9 carries, just 24 yards, his impact was in the passing game coming out of the backfield, which is why they brought him in anyhow. 81 yards on 7 carries and the 2 touchdowns receiving. He was definitely the star on that side of things. I like Rudolph. I think that that they're always talking about, they got to draft the future. This is his 8th season in the league, right? You know what I mean? If this is the last hurrah for Aaron Rodgers, I really want to see a commitment to Mason. I want to see a commitment to him for at least 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Why do you need to draft them? You can draft somebody, but you can't. And I don't want to hear about Will Howard. I've had enough of all of that already. He's a 6th-round pick, and there's a reason why. I do like Mason at this point. 8 years in the league, he's conditioned to this, this system. You know what I mean? And they've got to give him more opportunity once Aaron is done. And I agree. If Rodgers is healthy, he'll play next week and start. But if there's issues, you got to be able to bring Mason in. I liked what I saw from him today. It was not a good team, but they got the victory.
I think that the Rodgers thing could be serious. When you start talking about a hand injury at a quarterback, you're in trouble. So, listen, Rudolph's going to get his shot now. That's all you can ask when you're the backup quarterback. He's going to get his shot. And if he leads them to victory over Chicago, and I think after that, is the Bills after that? And
that's right. The Bills here, and then, that's right.
If I'm just guessing, and I'm just guessing here, but I'm just guessing. But if it's a hand injury, you're probably talking a couple of games for remember, he's 41 too. You're probably talking a couple of games for Rodgers.
A couple things.
Jerry, go ahead, Jerry.
There's a couple of things I want to say. You're talking about what's the bigger loss. I really think it's a bigger drop off between Rodgers and Rudolph than it is between Warren and Gainwell. If you go by what Gainwell did today, Gainwell is a good guy to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can run a little bit. Rudolph, he's been a backup for a long time. He did a nice job today against a horrible defense. But I don't want to say he can't be the quarterback next year, but it's because he could be. Because at this point, the Steelers, if they get to 10 wins, they're not going to have a high draft pick. They're going to have to, be able to draft the quarterback high. So what you got to do then is maybe Rudolph sticks around. You sign him for 2 years next year. He becomes a starter. But let's talk about right here and now. Right. If they lose Aaron Rodgers, And he is a good leader, John. He's led this team. He's made these guys accountable. He's pointed his fingers at them. He's been a good guy in the locker room. I don't see any problem with his leadership off the field. And Rudolph has the same kind of intangibles. But Rodgers is the veteran. Rodgers is the guy that definitely should be playing if he's healthy. Now, if he's not healthy, I think they're fine with Rudolph. It was good to sign him to a backup contract and get him on the team. But you don't want him to be the starter for the next 2 months. I don't think so.
I question Aaron Rodgers' leadership. I don't like the whining, yelling at people, pointing at people. I don't think that means
his politics and the way he
listen, I'm just guessing.
Nothing to do with anything, John.
I'm not talking politics, man. I'm talking fact. I'm talking. Let's be real, and that's why I'm in the meeting. I'm just giving you my opinion. But I think there's a lot of there's people in my neighborhood that wear Mason Rudolph jerseys, and the faith is a big thing. It is a big thing in the league. The media doesn't like to talk about it. I like talking about it. I think it's great that he's a devout Christian. I love I'm telling you. Go ahead, make it controversial. I think it's great he's a devout Christian. I think it's great he talks about it. People root for him because of that, and you can't ignore what Aaron Rodgers did when I don't know what he's done, renounce his faith, whatever. I know his parents are mad at him, and that's not a good sign. Okay,
and
we can talk.
But that has nothing to do with football, though.
It has a lot to Jerry. It has a lot to do with football. Let me finish. But let me finish, John.
Let him finish, John.
I'm serious about this.
All right.
The quarterback in football. It is all about your ability and the intangibles. It absolutely has to do with leadership. I mean, I saw growing up with Roger Staubach. You take Roger Staubach's faith away from him, and there's no way he has 30 miracle comebacks. And same thing with Mason Rudolph. It's just a little tiny bit. It's a little intangible, but it is a difference from Aaron Rodgers. And those players in the locker room may not want to talk about it on camera, but I guarantee you some of them would mention it off camera. That they love that he's a man of faith, that they love his attitude, they love the way he's acted. He was ready to come in today, and I'm hoping for a quarterback controversy. I hope Rodgers is out for the next 2 weeks. I hope Mason Rudolph leads in a victory against Chicago and Buffalo, and then we are going to have a quarterback controversy.
All right, I got Mike Tomlin's for. Okay, we got Mike Tomlin's post-game presser. Hang tight, gentlemen.
You're the best.
I am the best.
You are absolutely the legend. Let's get the Mike Tomlin presser in here and see what we got here from Mike.
Appreciative of the efforts. I thought we certainly fought hard. We played hard. In some instances, we could have played smarter. So there's individual and collective learning that needs to happen in some of those instances, but that's life. It's good to learn with the win. It was a big AFC North win for us. Aaron's obviously out with a wrist injury. It'll be evaluated in the morning. I'll give you guys more information there. Keyshawn Williams had a concussion. He's in the protocol. Jalen Warren had an ankle. I think he was able to return. The rest is bumps and bruises associated with play. Can't say enough about the collective effort. It certainly wasn't ideal. We got challenged in a lot of ways, but you're going to get challenged in the National Football League on weekends. And it's just good to get a win and get back on the right side of things coming off of a poor performance and obviously a loss the last time we saw these guys. And so it's doubly satisfying from that perspective. Questions?
Is it Aaron's right wrist, and what can you say about Mason and Kenny Gainwell making the big play?
It was his left wrist. And, Mason's proven in the past what he showed today. That's why we value him as a member of the collective and appreciative of his play. And certainly Kenny Gainwell made play after play for us, winning in the flat and so forth. But a lot of guys did. I thought our tight end run after with Muth and Darnell in particular was really good. You got to be able to throw short and run long sometimes, win conversions in that fashion, flip fields in that fashion. And so it was a lot of guys that contributed to that.
Has James Pierre grown throughout the year, not just in front of what we saw with our own eyes today?
He's grown throughout the years. Yes. He's gotten better with each and every year he's been here, with his roles and his ability to respond to opportunity and so forth. There's a veteran high level of consistency that we're seeing right now. That's why I talked about him the way I talked about him, I think, on Tuesday.
What keyed the better defensive performance against Cincinnati this time?
I'm sorry?
What keyed it today? What was better today than?
We got stability at the safety position. Other than, Jalen not finishing the game, we got stability at the safety position.
Did you get any explanation of what happened with Jalen Ramsey? What led to him popping off against Jamar Chase?
I didn't need any. It doesn't matter. We gotta be smarter. We gotta stay in football games as individuals.
Just follow up to the safeties, Kyle Duggar. Can you talk about his effect on the defense? The interception that he made could be the changing point of the game.
He's a veteran player, man. That's been there, done that guy. That's why we coveted him at the trade deadline. He's been an asset to us, certainly, and increasingly so. I'm excited about moving forward with him as he continues to get solid in assignments, communication, and understanding.
Ramsey ejected. Was he ejected, Mike? Or did you take him?
What's that?
Was he ejected?
He was ejected.
Okay, because I never heard you.
He was ejected. Yes, I'm sorry.
Aaron's injury designation was questionable. Could he have returned in the second half?
I don't have the answer to that, to be honest with you. I'll have more information next time we talk.
You think Mason Rudolph did? How did you feel like Mason Rudolph did?
As I mentioned, he's always delivered when called upon in the past. That's why we value him. His performance was consistent with what he's done in the past for us. And not that we take it for granted. We don't. We appreciate it.
To the sideline, or was he just staying on the line after his injury, Aaron Rodgers?
Again, I don't know. My attention was on the field and those that were on the field.
Do you do anything in the second half?
I'm sorry?
Do you do anything in the second half to kind of account for the fact that Mason hasn't played? Do you make things a little bit more cautious or careful?
No, Mason's played a lot of football in this league. We might lean to things that are more in his wheelhouse, but it wasn't because of lack of play.
Jamar Chase had a big game as you guys last time around. His day, 10 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards. He talked about how they knew what you guys were going to do last time around. What did you change up this time that might have gotten in the way of him having a good day?
I don't know that we changed anything of any significance. I just thought we were more solid today, to be honest with you.
Coach, your thoughts on Gainwell, not just running, but also receiving as he made.
And I think he also made a tackle on kickoff, I value him as a football player first. We saw a lot of that, man, on his Philadelphia tape. He's good in a lot of areas, including special teams. And so we just respect what he brings to the table.
Exactly how Aaron got hurt or what happened?
I did not.
A lot about Mason thus far, and this is not to compare him to Aaron in any way, but if you have a guy that's familiar with your system, has experience as a coach, is there any long effect when you don't know what you're doing?
It's no doubt. It's no doubt.
Anyone else?
Mike, what do you say for the offense in general? I mean, you talk about having faith in the individual players, but having your starting quarterback and your starting running back on the sideline could cause a lot of other issues that didn't seem to crop up for you.
That's life in the big dance. You're going to be challenged in a lot of ways as individuals, as collectives, or collectives within the larger collective. It's our job to adapt and improvise and do what's required to win.
Your defensive front was more effective against Flacco in terms of pressuring him than out in Cincinnati.
I just thought as a collective, whether it's front, secondary, linebackers, I just think we were more solid. I think we were more connected. I thought we communicated well. It's not necessarily about what it is that they do. It's about the quality of what we do. And I thought we were just above the line in so many of the intangible areas today that allowed us to play.
What can be said about Darnell Washington's performance today, especially that big run that he had where I think he went over like 3 videos?
It's been highly consistent. We're appreciative of him. We're appreciative of Spencer Anderson. That's why we introduced him with the starting lineup to show respect to that.
Talk with Aaron after his injury, either off the field or at halftime?
I was.
Did he disclose anything?
He was excited about the win. I just talked to him. But that's all we talked about. We didn't talk about his injury. We talked about the significance of the win.
Anyone else?
How significant can you say this win is, considering with where you guys are in the division?
It's perspective. It feels good right now, but it's about what happens moving forward, and it always is. That's just the nature of this thing. It's sweet today. Tomorrow we go back to work. It's big business waiting on us next week.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. That's it. That's Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 34-12 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. According to John Fedko, we got a quarterback controversy.
Not
and we
yet.
got Jerry.
Don't have one yet. We don't have one yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, working towards one potentially. Okay,
Could
fair
be,
enough.
Absolutely. I'm rooting for it.
I know.
I'm rooting for one.
And I look, and I like Mason again. I think he's capable at this point in time of his career. But we're going to have. He is for sure. But I think we're going to, unless there's serious injury here, we're going to have to wait until next season to find out.
Let me make this perfectly clear. I do not think Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. That's not what I'm saying here. What I am saying here is everything I've seen from the Steelers offense this year tells me you can plug Mason Rudolph into this offense and it will still work almost as efficiently, maybe a little bit better because of what I call that intangible leadership thing. So I do not think, from what I've seen from this offense, that it's a big deal that Aaron Rodgers is out. And the fact that Jalen Warren, apparently it's not serious. He said his ankle is okay.
He came back in the game. Yeah.
He came back.
Yeah, but these guys are super tough. They really are. Especially Warren appears to be a very, very tough individual. You want him at 100%. You're going to need that guy pounding and dragging people, just like he did in the first play of the game. He's great. I love Jalen Warren, and I love Gainwell. It's going to have to be running the football and swinging out to the tight ends in the flat to beat Baltimore and controlling the clock, and they can do that with Mason Rudolph. So it's all about the other guys. It's not about the quarterback in this offense. And guys got to stop dropping like flies in the defensive secondary. I mean, so,
and not making stupid ejection penalties, throwing punches. It's not a boxing match out there. That guy's a veteran. Ramsey's a veteran. He should definitely know better.
I will say this about him. Again, I've talked about this before in the show. I kind of, again, I'm not a Steeler fan, but I think a team like the Steelers needs one of those guys on the edge, whether it's James Harrison or Joey Porter or,
I agree with that, yes.
And he's one of those guys on the edge. The Oakland Raiders had a guy like that. The Cowboys had a guy like that, Charlie Waters. I mean, guys that just, drive you nuts and eventually they go over the line. It's football. I mean, they won the game. It didn't cost them the game. It didn't even cost them then. The Bengals were out of it. They're a pathetic organization, but they don't seem to get any calls from the refs. So they got a couple of crazy ones early, but they got that first down on the tush push. I can't believe that was a terrible call. And of course, I tweeted, so we got a call about the roughing the passers. All the penalties, they were all insanely ridiculous. And the one against Watt is a pathetic excuse. The NFL has to address this in the offseason. And I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to come into play when they play Baltimore. You got to bring back Lamar Jackson, man. You got to go after him 100%. You cannot let up on Lamar Jackson or it'll be dust, man. He'll dust you. So I don't know, as a player, I don't know how you play in this league because that was not roughing the passer under any circumstances on Watt. It wasn't under any circumstances that roughing the passer.
I doubt the NFL is going to reverse their thinking on this roughing the passer stuff because the quarterbacks are their meal tickets. The quarterbacks are the guys making all the money, and all the teams have so much invested in these quarterbacks. You don't want to get these guys hurt. I mean, Buffalo depends on Josh Allen. You don't want somebody taking a late hit on Josh Allen and knocking him out for 3 games, and that's what the NFL is guarding.
Well, I love you, Jerry, but I could get hurt walking out across the street or driving my car to 7-Eleven. I'm telling you, if John wasn't paying for him, I'm serious about this. If John wasn't paying me to do this after that TJ Watt thing, I'm serious. I'd have turned it off and just go listen to Bob Dylan or something.
Wait,
I'm sick of this league. I'm sick of it. It's pathetic. They feminized it. I can't stand the rules. The officiating is terrible. They have a huge officiating problem. This game was officiated extremely poorly. The Bengals got a couple of bad calls. I'm serious. The officials are horrific.
Yeah, they're bad.
The rules are terrible. It's a bad product. I can't wait for Major League Baseball. But I'm serious. But John, you're paying me, so I'm doing the show. And now I'm hoping for a quarterback controversy. I hope Rodgers doesn't play the next 2 games, and Mason Rudolph leads to the victory. And Jerry, we're going crazy on here.
I'm not paying either of you. I'm paying your Lives for crying out
Now
loud.
we got. How about the Mighty Lopes? Like we talked. How about your Mighty Lopes, baby? Duke John Core. What a
Yeah.
powerhouse.
That's right. Amani Christian. We got Amani Christian
Great
Saturday
team.
afternoon, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's
Acrisure Stadium. Be there.
That is going to be a great game. Amani Christian, what a great story that was. That program was a complete disaster, and that coach took over it. I mean, they won like 4 games in like 3 years, and he's really put together a great program. And of course, Duke John Core has that powerhouse at Avonworth. That is a great game. I just love high school football, and shame on shame on ESPN. And all those guys over there, they had that huge open. They didn't talk about the high school football. He mentioned everything else but high school. He mentioned Plum, okay. He had a huge opportunity. Yeah. He had the games coming in. He could have mentioned Avonworth. Could have mentioned Aliquippa and McKeesport were playing on Saturday. I thought it was a terrible mistake made by him and his producers not to really emphasize high school football. There were 2 huge games being played yesterday, 2 huge ones with great programs. Aliquippa, unbelievable program now, and what Warfield's done there, it's phenomenal. And McKeesport with Keemon Spell, the #1 running back in the 2027 class. And then you had Central Catholic and North Allegheny playing, and he doesn't mention it. That's crazy.
May I just say,
ripping the ESPN show. I thought it was a disgrace. He started everything. Oh, the Pirates, which I love baseball, and then he goes into the Penguins and what about high school football, man?
May I just say that I went to high school with Duke John Core, first class in Woodland Hills, 1988. Doing a great job up there. Yeah. Doing an amazing job. All right, Steel City Sunday rolling on. We'll be on the air for about another 20 minutes. Quick scoreboard update just to get your juices flowing here. Let's start with the games in progress on the late window. About to end the first quarter in SoFi in Los Angeles. Rams lead the Seahawks 7-3. That's a big one out west. Late first quarter, 49ers 13, Cardinals 7. About 5 minutes to go in the first quarter of this one. Ravens knocking on the door. 3rd and goal at the 3. No score in that contest. Chiefs and Broncos from Mile High. 3-0 Broncos lead that one. Late game, Lions at Eagles should be a good one. Earlier final scores. Panthers defeat the Falcons 30-27. The Panthers are 6-5. Who would have thought that? Dolphins earlier today in Madrid losing to beat the Commanders 16-13. I think King Charles rose from the grave along with him and Cortez, and they sent those invaders from America back to the Netherlands, or at least to the new country or new world, if you will. Bills defeated the Buccaneers, best game of the day, 44-32 final score in that one. Josh Allen, 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns in that victory. The Bills are 7-3. Texans beat the Titans 16-13. Also, final score, Bears are 7-3. Next week's opponent, they defeat the Vikings 19-17. Packers 6-3-1. They beat the Giants on the road 27-20. Of course, the Steelers 34-12 over the Bengals. Jaguars, no problems today. They ran over the Chargers 35-6. John Fedko looking ahead to things, assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy, assuming Jalen Warren is healthy. A very, very good game, interconference game. Nonetheless, you need these victories, especially since they lost to the Packers already a few weeks ago. How do you feel about next week? If both Rodgers and Warren are healthy, a tough game ahead of them.
I think Chicago has come out of nowhere. And again, the NFC is, in my opinion, a lot better than the AFC. And that division Chicago's in now is insane. I mean, it's insane. I mean, all 4 teams are in it. And Chicago is for real, I guess. I mean, if you look at that division over there, it's just crazy. And so Chicago, this is like a must-win for a game for them. This game to me looked like a gimme for the Steelers 7 weeks ago. Forget it. This is a really, really tough game. I know it's not a conference game, but now with Baltimore and Jerry brilliantly predicting many weeks ago that Baltimore would come back. And let's give you credit, Jerry. You were on top of this. You were saying 5 weeks ago, man, they get Lamar Jackson back. They're the team to beat, and now they look really good. Of course, they have a huge game they're playing right now. But this is a critical game, and it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be really, really tough. And, of course, the Buffalo looked phenomenal again today, at least offensively. in a crazy game against a good team. So you got back-to-back games here that are just, this thing could be over in 2 weeks. Before they even play Baltimore.
The way they're going to beat the Bears is to put some pressure on Caleb Williams. You make him a little skittish in the pocket, make him feel uncomfortable. Do what they did today with Flacco. Put a little pressure on him. You not necessarily sack him all the time, but rush him into mistakes. Okay, Caleb Williams will make mistakes if you rush him into them, and I think that's going to be the key for the Steelers. But their offense still has to get rolling. I mean, the running game has to get the Steelers' offense has to get rolling. I mean, whether Rodgers plays or not, they got to give the ball to Warren more times than they did. Maybe if Warren had played the second half, he would have ended up maybe with 100 yards, I think.
Yeah. Again, I think that this is kind of like, that those swing passes in the flat, including the tight ends, they're basically runs. So, you and I could probably quarterback this team and do efficiently. I mean, it's basically getting the ball to these guys and yakking it. That's what the Steelers' offense is, and it's brilliant. I mean, it's great. I mean, Rodgers is 41 years old. He's lost a little bit, and now you got Mason Rudolph in there as a career backup guy. I love him, but he's a career backup guy. But again, you can plug one of these guys in, either one of them, and it's all about not turning the ball over, which the Steelers, and I didn't see the last couple of minutes we were on here, but I don't think they turned the ball over at all. They had 0 turnovers. It's a trend. They're not lucky. That's how the Steelers win, turnovers. They have their big defensive turnovers, and you saw when they were going through that losing streak, they weren't getting the turnovers. They had games where they didn't get any turnovers. Well, they got 2 huge ones today for scores, and that's how they win, and it works. And they're really good at it. They're aggressive. That's why I'm a Jalen Ramsey fan. I like seeing one guy like that on every team. It's just the nature of the NFL. I don't have a problem with him. He plays on the edge
too when he comes out of that secondary to make a tackle. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's his job. He's the George Atkinson of this team. He's the hit man. That's what he is, and that's the way it is in the NFL. Every team has one, usually a guy like that, and he knows his role. Again, and that's why I don't think you saw Tomlin take too big of a shot at him. You got to be tough to play in the NFL. You got to be tough. And Jalen Warren, you can't say enough about him. He did come back in the game, Jerry, and he's a tough guy, man. You got to be tough to play running.
They're going to need him in Gainwell, to beat the Bears. You got to get a running game going.
Yeah, Gainwell's great, and you saw how you can use Gainwell with those swing passes, man. Just get him out in the open, swing it out there, and Rudolph can do that as good as Rodgers, and get him yakking, and he's going to take the ball. And of course, again, we talked about this 5 weeks ago. The guy's a superstar. Darnell Washington's a flat-out superstar, man. He is a superstar. You get that guy the ball in the open field in those swing flats, you throw it out in the flat, and let him run over these 180-pound defensive backs. They're bouncing off him, man. You can't stop him. It's a truck coming at you. Yeah, he'll do major. It's great. It's awesome. He was
in the starting lineup today, which I was surprised to see.
Yeah, he's just a great player. Great story. There's a lot of great stories in this Steelers team. There really are. Give him credit. I mean, Doug was a great story. There's some Pierre's a great story. There's some great stories coming here.
Yeah, there is, but they still have a long way to go, John. They're only 6-4, and they only have a 1-game lead on the Ravens. They got games coming up with Chicago, Buffalo, and Baltimore the next 3 weeks.
Yeah,
so there's 3 of the better teams in the league with winning records. You can't afford they lose even one of those games because the Ravens are right there.
I agree with him. This crazy division where obviously Cincinnati's out of it now, and Cleveland's never been in it. But the Ravens are coming. They're coming strong, and you got 2 games with them. But you don't want to be under 500, which they could be going into that Baltimore game. They wouldn't be under 500. They'd be at 500.
Yeah. They're 6-4.
They're 6-4.
So they could easily lose the next 2 games. The Steelers could easily lose them. I mean, again, I thought Chicago was a gimme. They're anything but a gimme. And that NFC, man, is crazy, and that division's crazy. That Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit division is insane. So it's a huge game for Chicago. It's good for the NFL. And now you're starting. I mean, the Chargers. That Charger loss looks worse and worse. I mean, Jacksonville just took them apart today. The Chargers just are not that good. Right. I mean, and so the Steelers aren't that good, and Green Bay's not that good. They almost lost the Giants at home. Bloom's come off. The roses come off the bloom a little bit on Love. He's coming kind of back to earth.
The Steelers are their ceiling is 10 victories. I think. I don't think
you're right,
Jerry. Any more than 10, and that'll be probably enough to get into the playoffs. Now it depends on who they get match up in the playoffs, who they play, whether they can beat that team.
Well,
I think they have a chance, but they got to get a running game going. And I think they had one going today for a while until Warren got hurt. And if you get Warren healthy, which I think he's going to be okay, and Gainwell comes in and spells him, I think he'll be fine. Offensive line is getting just a little bit better every week. This week they weren't horrible today. Although I tell you what, Rodgers took a beating. The two of those were penalties, roughing the passers, but Rodgers took a beating today.
He did, and the two guys landed on him right before he went out, and that's where it really got hurt. I mean, he had 500 pounds on him. But here, look, they're not going to make it as a wild card. The only thing coming out of this, no, they're not. They're not, and because New England, they've kind of come out of nowhere this year. So you're going to have New England and Buffalo coming out of there. You're going to have Kansas City, and now the Chargers win the tiebreaker against the Steelers. Okay, so you've got Kansas City and the Chargers. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get a wild card. It's just not.
Chiefs
you're going to have to win this crazy division.
What if the Chiefs lose to Denver?
I guess you're right. But you're right about that. No, you're right, Jerry. And you've always been the voice of reason. And you called this. Jerry DePaula called this 5 weeks ago that Baltimore is going to come back. Don't get excited about the win over Cleveland. We were all going crazy, especially me, over the win over Cleveland. And Jerry's up there saying, you know what? Lamar Jackson's coming back. Baltimore's still going to be the favorite. And as usual, Jerry DePaula was right.
Well, he's always the voice of reason. Ronnie Hunter checking in via YouTube, speculating on the Rodgers injury. We don't know what it is right now. So, it could be anything. It's not an elbow. I saw Jerry Dulac talking about that, and then Tomlin confirmed it was his wrist. So I don't want to get into speculation as to what the injury is.
Just remember, he's an old man. I mean, I'm an old man. I'm 65. He's an old man, and that means something in the NFL. He's 41. He's not 25. He's an old man. If he's hurt, I'm playing Rudolph. I'm not. Sit out, old man.
You're playing Rudolph. If he can't play, you got to play Rudolph.
Yeah. No, but if Rodgers wants to play hurt, no. I'm playing Rudolph.
I don't think Rodgers is at a point in his career where he's going to want to play hurt, especially with a hurt wrist.
Maybe.
I mean, if it was something else, maybe.
And especially his throwing arm as well. Everett Kirkland via YouTube. 5 was selfish, and Chase stayed in. He's talking about Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, Ramsey, unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Yeah,
selfish.
Yeah, extremely selfish for sure. Everett also saying Mason can move better. Yeah, we know he can move better. We know that. We understand that. He's fucking 12, 13 years younger than the quarterback.
Rodgers ran for a first down today? Hold on. Rodgers ran for a first down today, didn't he?
He had an 8-yard run for a first down. He did, absolutely. He did have a little wheels on that. In fact, the team ran for 112 yards today. Rodgers 1 carry for the 8-yard. Mason Rudolph, by the way, 12 of 16. For 127 yards and the touchdown pass to Gainwell. All right, a couple more minutes with Jerry DePaula and John Fedko on Steel City Sunday post-game show. Steelers' big victory, 34-12 over Cincinnati. Real quickly, couple of scores. The Rams now lead Seattle 14-3. 49ers lead the Cardinals 19-7. Ravens and Browns are tied at 3 as they head to the second quarter. Broncos 6, Chiefs nothing. Late first quarter in that one. Defensively, look, they did not face a team that they had obviously skilled players, but not a good football team. The defense did exactly what they needed to do. Forced turnovers, they did twice. Both of those ended up turning into touchdowns. They are now currently second in the league in turnovers with 18 and second in sacks now with 33. You got to play who's in front of you and beat them, and they are doing that to the bad teams. If you look at who they've actually beaten this year, they are not particularly good teams. The Jets, obviously. New England, caught them early in the season. Minnesota, not a good football team. Browns, a lousy team. And to Cincinnati today, they beat the Colts, but who have they really beaten? Jerry DePaula, you want something that you want to get off your chest?
I'm just saying that the defense needs to score touchdowns or needs to play like they did today because the offense still has its training wheels on. The offense still hasn't, as well as Rodgers had played for most of the season, the offense still is a little bit shaky at times. And as long as it's going to be shaky, the defense has to prop it up. Now, when they lost to the Packers in the Bengals earlier is because the defense was bad. Offense was playing better at the time. But right now, if Mason Rudolph steps in there, he's going to have to play better than they've been playing lately. Get a running game behind him, and he can do it. But you know what? I think that he plays well enough, and he gets Steelers into the playoffs. I'll vote for him for the Hall of Fame, right, John?
Of course. And I'm going to apologize because this is not my doing, this framing of mine, because for some reason Phillips can't figure out how to do this right. So I always laugh at you guys. I'm sitting there I'm sitting there laughing at Zeiss in the closet, and Haley looks like, I don't know, in a dungeon. And here I am with a bad shot. So I don't know, maybe they can't figure out either how to get this. Anyway, I got this halo over my head, which I deserve. Here's what. Yeah, if any of you are just tuning in and missed my rant on Mason Rudolph, please go back and see it, because I'm very proud of that my stance on him and his Christianity. But listen, a big concern of mine now is there were gaping holes for Chase Brown today. I wrote that down. Gaping holes. There were a couple of runs where he was untouched for 10 yards. That's got to stop. And trust me, you're going to see the Ravens looking at that tape and salivating. They got to figure out what the problem was today, because the Cincinnati Bengals were running the ball, and Chase Brown was having a really good game.
99 yards today.
Yeah. And he had a couple of runs. I wrote him down. He's like untouched for 10 yards.
The Steelers have to match that.
Got to stop, man. Yeah. I know we talked about the offense, but the Bengals are not known as some kind of rushing powerhouse, and the Steelers made them look like that. So that's something to be concerned about. So keep your eye open for that. I do not think this was an A+ game for the Steelers. They were just playing a really bad football team. Although Flacco, you got to love that guy. He really is a competitor, and he is really good. And, of course, the Bengals do have great receivers. Higgins is a great receiver. He's a really tough guy to cover. So they have some players. They do. And, again, on the Jalen Ramsey thing, I like having a guy like, I'm not a Steeler fan. I'm not saying I'm a fan of his, but I like a team having a guy like that. I don't have a problem with it. It's been going on in the NFL since 1950s.
Yeah, you have one crazy guy. The Steelers in the 70s played with an edge. That's why one of the reasons they won 4 Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah. They had a guy named Jack Lambert.
The Steelers haven't had that recently.
They'd have flagged him every 5 plays. Yeah, I mean, Jack Lambert was just all over the field.
But you don't want to get thrown out.
No, you don't want to get you don't want to get thrown out. But that was not a critical. That was not a critical play in the game. The game was over by then. I'm not.
Yeah, luckily the Steelers, won easily today. But if that game's 14-13 and he gets thrown out, then you're in trouble.
I
should know better as a veteran.
You should know better, but it's it's an emotional game.
Bears. By the way, Bears have won 3 in a row. They're 7-3, tops in the NFC North. And they ran for 140 yards as a team today.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift had 90 yards on 21 carries. They're going to run the football. Here's the one thing about the Steelers next week. They'll be a dog. They'll be an underdog, and this is where Tomlin, especially on the road, gets these teams ready for whatever reason. The lines aren't going to be out until later tonight, but I'm pretty sure they'll be at least 2.5 point underdog, maybe 3. We'll see how that plays out, but I think that's going to be to an advantage for this team. Real quickly, Jerry DiPaolo, what do you say?
The one thing you have to worry about is the coach of the Bears, Ben Johnson. He's one of the top offensive minds in the National Football League, and he's going to find ways to find holes in that Steeler defense. So they better find a way to stop Swift and not let him get 100 yards like Brown almost did today. The defense had made 2 really nice plays and got scores out of them, but overall for the whole season, the defense has been rather mediocre. Maybe today was a little bit better, but again, they played in the wind. That really cut down on what Flacco could do, cut down what the Steeler quarterbacks could do too. But you really need to make big plays on defense to win these games for the Steelers, because their offense right now is just finding itself. And now with Rodgers maybe out, that could make it even worse.
John Fedko, final thoughts.
I think 6-7 is a real possibility. I mean, I would not bet the Steelers in any of these games in the next 3 weeks, no matter who's playing quarterback. I love Mason Rudolph. I would not bet the Steelers. I just wouldn't do it. I think 6-7 is a distinct possibility for the Steelers after 3 weeks.
Yeah, they lose on Sunday next week, very much so, with Buffalo coming in here, and of course to go to the Ravens the week after. Gentlemen, thank you. You're always entertaining and informative. Jerry
Voice of
DePaul,
reason. Voice of reason. Two grandsons played in the Avonworth program. Gotta love the Lopes.
That's right. We'll see you at the tailgate party Saturday afternoon, John.
Jerry,
Jerry,
I'm just trying to get a gig on one of the 3 TV stations to cover your kids. Somebody hire me.
They're freshmen, John.
I know they are, but that gives me a couple of years. I'll do it. I'll do it for minimum wage. Come on, Tim. Let somebody step up. I just want to cover your kids because it's going to be so much fun.
Phillips with buddy John Core. Get him on the field.
I love Duke John Core. Duke John Core he's on his way to becoming one of the all-time greats. He's got a way to go. But seriously, between him, you want to talk about a great young set of coaches. Warfield over an Aliquippa is putting together a resume that is incredible what Warfield's doing at Aliquippa, especially this year with all the injuries, his quarterback going down, and now he wins another Whitfield title. You got to put Warfield as one of the top coaches in the Whitfield. And Duke John Core over at Avonworth, Mark Lyons at Central Valley. You got some guys that have the ability in 20 years to be on that Mount Rushmore. I just mentioned 3 of them. Duke John Core, and I love Chirpak, and I love Jimmy Render, and I love Art Walker and all these old guys. But I'm telling you, you know as well as I do, Jerry.
Yeah.
Duke John Core's putting together a resume that's insane.
Program.
And so is Johnny Ladon at Pine Ridge. I love these young guys. I'm not some old guy saying, get off my lawn. There's some great young coaches in the Whitfield, including John Core, including Warfield and Aliquippa. Congratulations to him. What a job he's done. All they do is keep moving him up in class, and he keeps winning.
Big day at the
I love Warfield and Aliquippa.
Big day at the There's 4 games on Saturday, right?
Yes. There's 4 games on Saturday. They're all great. How about Laurel? Laurel hasn't been in the Whitfield final since 1989. I was 29 years old. I was 29 years old when they're in the Whitfield final. I remember it like yesterday because I'm an old man. So you got just great stories all across the board. But I think that 2-way matchup between Amani Christian, another great story. Congratulations to them. That coach has done a phenomenal job. I know they're private, but I love them. I love that story. Amani Christian versus Avonworth is must-see television.
Game of the day.
I'm serious. Yeah. It's going to be an awesome game.
Amani has some real prospects, too.
They've got great players and a great coach, and Avonworth's got great players and they got the Candy Man.
The Candy Man. I love it.
Their running back, Belisarius, because of Sarah's candies. I call this Candy Man. That's great.
All right, John, you're the greatest.
Insane. I love high school football. How are we going to talk about come on, Phillips, let's do another half an hour in high school football. All right, good night, everybody. I love the voice of reason. The voice of reason, this guy right here 5 weeks ago was saying it was going to be Baltimore. That's why we have him on the show.
John Fedko, Jerry DePaula, always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
You guys are the greatest.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you. There it is right there. Jerry DePaula, John Fedko, as we work our way towards the end of the show. That's 1 and 2. Want to thank Arch Masonry and Restoration. Arch Masonry and Restoration has been a sponsor of this show since day one. If you're a bricklayer, a block layer, concrete finisher, if you're a construction laborer and you have no work, you need to call Arch Masonry. 412-564-5733, archmasonryinc.com. They are busy. They work year-round. Competitive wages, benefits programs, bonus programs, and if you have no experience, that's no problem because guess what? They have advancement programs and classes that can get you jump-started in the building trades. 412-564-5733, archmasonryinc.com. And again, thanks to the folks at the North Park Lounge Richland, always our title sponsor, our host. They make it happen for us every single week, which allows me to pay everyone. Obviously important to John Fedko. I pay his wife. I pay Jerry's wife. You I pay directly. I actually sent your money to somebody else once, but we got it back, and I still managed to pay you. Everybody's making money here except for me, folks. All right, that's it for our show. Stay tuned through the course of the week. By the way, on all the social media sites, if you want to catch us and all the content that we provide, you can do so by finding us on the web, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Steel City Sunday. There it is right there. If you're checking us out right now and you're not following us, shame on you for 6 weeks. Go follow us. Tell 10 of your friends. Have them do the same until we have 1 million followers everywhere. And I don't have to work a day job, all right? I just want to collect, what is that money they make? What do they call it on social media when you have a bunch of followers and apparently if you get a lot of followers and there's interaction and impressions, the social media sites will pay you. I know that's never going to happen, but hey, one can dream. Any thoughts, Bill Akins, that you'd like to share before we wrap this puppy up?
No, I mean, it was a much needed win. They got it, so that's about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to get any easier, I can tell you that much.
No, it will not. And certainly, really, the only game on their schedule that looks at anything of ease is going to be the Dolphins. Even though they won again today and they've got 4 wins, they've got that game at home, and you could basically stop one player there and everything should be okay. But the rest of the schedule, I mean, it's murderer's row. Really, the next 3 weeks are just going to be absolutely brutal. They're going to need to steal at least 1 win from the next 3. And preferably 2, that being probably, I don't know. It's this team's so hard to even predict. Every time I say they're going to win, they lose. Every time I say they're going to lose, they win. And that's all you got to know. Okay, that's it for this week. We will be back here next week. Pre-game show starts at 10 a.m. as always, 3 hours prior to kickoff. And immediately following, we have your pregame and postgame coverage of Steelers football. For the entire cast and crew, for Bill Akins, John Fedko, Jerry DePaula, I'm John Phillips. We'll talk to you next week, folks. You've been watching Steel City Sunday postgame right here on, and by the way, It's a Wrap Sports. Thank you to you folks as well. This has been Steel City Sunday postgame here on X, YouTube, and Facebook live.